Welcome to Digital Z Hub, an online training platform. We offer training across different technological domains such as cybersecurity, web development, data analytics, data science, graphic design pro, video editing, and think of any current trending tech. We offer the training here. You also need, if you need a professional office training, that is ability to use office program, we also offer that training. Okay, so this is our web development live class. From what we have on the screen shows that our last class was on HTML listing. We talk about HTML listing. And I told us that there are certain HTML tags or building blocks that are specifically used for listing items vertically within your web page. We started with the order lists, which is denoted or represented as OL. We also talk about the unordered lists, which is denoted as UL. We talk about the definition or description list, which is used to classify your listing or to classify your listing. So this was the outcome of that particular section. Now in this section, we are still on HTML tags and CSS mastery. So like I told us before, we are just learning these particular properties or elements one after. Very, very fast approaching. After this topic, we have just one more topic before we start developing a real website with the numbers of tags and the properties, the CSS properties we have learned so far. So the whole of this section, we shall be looking at HTML table tag. So write HTML table tag, HTML table tag, HTML table tag. Now, what is HTML table tag, which is denoted as this? So this is the tag that represents table. But we have to start by understanding what table is. I understand that this is not the first time we are hearing the term table. But as far programming is concerned, what does table mean to us? When you are creating a website and somebody mentioned table, what does that mean to you and I as developers? So let's look at the definition properly. So in case you want to talk, all you need to do is to use the reaction tab. So I will know that you want to say something. I'm using an earpiece and I will not be able to get feedback based on some of the issues currently having. All right, so let's look at the definition of table. HTML table is a way or a structure used to display data in rows and columns. HTML table is a structure. Let me see if I can write it. It's a structure. HTML table is a structure used to display data in rows and columns. in rows and column. Now, let me give us an illustration what we are talking about. So let's assume that you are developing a website for a church and they want you in one of the pages to highlight their services. So you might need to use these formats based on the way they usually outline their services. This is the table. This is the table structure. Now, within this table structure, we can have vertical spaces. You can have vertical spaces. So all these vertical spaces you are seeing as part of the table component you are going to look at, they are referred to as column. They are referred to as column. All the vertical spaces, they are referred to as column. Now, and they are used for creating headings. They are used for creating headings. They are used for creating headings within your table. Now, we also have the horizontal spaces within the table structure. So what I'm explaining now is the table structure. How does the table look like? So, but we are going to code it. We are going to program it. We are going to write code to formulate this structure. We are not going to draw it, but I just want you to understand the shape, the picture of it. Now, all these horizontal spaces, they are called the rows. They are called the rows. And what is their major function? For creating record. So the rows are for creating records. Creating records. Now, all these buses that are derived as a result of the vertical line crossing the horizontal line, they are called cells. All right, they are called cells. Now, these lines that you are seeing that also defines the column space and the row spaces, they are called the border lines. So we can refer to them as border lines or grid lines. Okay, they are referred to border grid line. So hope you understand what I've explained so far.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now we are going to re-identify these components. So you write table components in terms of coding, in terms of programming. This is all these names I've given you. They are like the general name, but in programming, for you to create this table, to have this layout, the name still remain table. Now, to have cells, all these units, they are going to translate from cell to what we call what? TD. So they are going to be referred to as table data. Now, what you call row here, what we call row will be coded as TR, which means what? Table row. Now, what you call borderline will still retain what? Borderline. Now, what you call column will now change in coding to TH. We now change to what? TH, which means what? Table heading. So now that we understand the structure and the picture of the table, let me wipe it off and then take us to the coding section. How, as a programmer, as a web developer, you can write code that can generate this structure is what we want to learn. Both the code that will generate the structure and the code that will fine-tune the appearance. That is the CSS. So that shall be our focus in this session. So having explain that, let's quickly go into the coding properly. Now, while I was explaining, I have already mentioned some of the key components that forms a table. So don't forget that it is used for collecting data in a vertical and horizontal structure. So let's give ourselves a task. So let's say we want to develop a table that we hold a very simple data. Let's look at that table that can display very simple data to us, right? Just a minute. Okay, so I just want to design a table that can be used to advertise the packages that we have on this platform called DigitalZ Hub. So let's assume that somewhere within our web page, maybe in our program or courses page, I want to break down some of the programs we offer. So I want to use table as one of the HTML elements to present that content. So the first thing I'm going to do is to declare, let me create a separate page for it. Now I'll come back to my file structure, make sure that I'm not inside CSS, and then make a file. Then I'll name that file table.html. Then, of course, I have to define the HTML basic file structure by just typing HT and then activate it. So the title should be, let's say, welcome to DigitalZ Hub. And the topic of our discussion is HTML table design, HTML table design or development. So I'm going to be writing all my CSS internally, that's what in the head section, wrapping them in the style tag. Just to use comments. So now so I want to start by declaring the table. Like I told you, to create your table, you simply type table. So that is the first container. Now, there are associated tags, like the structure I gave to us the other time. So it's not just table. Now, you just have to acknowledge the table as a container. That is the reason why I expanded it. The moment you start expanding a tag, it means you have acknowledged that tag to be a container. So you actually open it up so that you can write other things inside. So whatever I am going to write inside this tag is referred to as table elements. In other words, they are subjected to table. They are sub-content on that table. So let's check the front end as we are developing to see what that table has given us. So we are just going to have, you see that, an empty. Now, ordinarily, when you declare table, they don't come with, you don't see the grid line. Remember, I've talked about the border line until you use CSS or you attach an attribute. And that attribute, remember, should come inside the opening tag. So just attach border, for example, and give it 1. Now, if I go back to the front end, I am expected to see the table. But now, since we have not added content, so that is just a table declaration, the structured definition. So the next thing is for me to start adding what? Content to this table. So the very first content is the table head. The table head is just like the first part of the table that will describe maybe the title. So I'll put that T head. The T head I'm talking about is not TH, it's T head. So that one is to create the table capture, the head section. Now inside this T head, you cannot have the TH. That is where you want to start. You cannot have the TR. So the TR, like I told us, is the table row. Remember the structure that we drew the other time? I created a box, that is the table, and then I divided that box into vertical and horizontal what spaces. Then the very first row at the top, we want to use that to outline the heading, maybe serial number and whatever. So now after this, inside this TR, so we are going to next TH, the table headings. So now I'll just come here and write what? TH. Now this TH is to declare the table heading. And the first heading, for example, let's say what? Name. So if I go back to the front end, you can see that what? We have started what? Generating content. And all these ones are within the what? The head part of the table. So I want to add more. So what you will have done as a programmer, you copy that one, but since we are learning, let me continue to regenerate them manually. So the next one is maybe the courses. The courses we offer. The courses we offer will be listed in that what? Header. Another TH again, maybe the score, maybe, or let's say the courses, and then the courses, let's say course code, or let's say code of those courses will be here. All right, now I want to also talk about the costs, or let's say duration. So let's say duration, so that whoever wants to register will know the duration of the program. TH, then let's say the fee. Now, if I go to, let me also add, let's say, contacts. So should in case you are okay with any of the program, you want to reach out to us via WhatsApp or via call. So let's say we put contact there. Now, if I go back to the front end, you see that what we have created a table. Now, why you are having the borderline is because of what we have done here. So if I remove this, because by default, just declaring table, you are not going to see the borderline. You will just be seeing the headers what are itemized horizontally like this. So now, this is a table. Now, the body of the table, this is just the heading, what is going to show at the top. So we have to go to the body. What will now be the body? Now, I will come outside the T head and then type what? T body. So we have T body. So this T body is where you want to define the content or content for those headers. Let me feedback. Hope you are following, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now, the next one is now that you have opened the T body, which means that what is going to come up here. That is what we are trying to sorry with the line. What is going to come up? Because all these ones are just header at the top. So how do we code that? So you can see that I first of all created a container. This T body means what? All the body content will be wrapped inside this particular tag, just like the way we wrap all the head content in the TH, sorry, the T head. before we started declaring the individual headers with the TH. So I'll create another TR inside it. And then this TR, remember that what at this point, what you are actually looking at is that you want to create data. Where you say name, you put the person's name, let's say Prosper. Where you say what course, you put so I think we need to convert this. We need to change this name to let's say faculty. Okay, the name, we assume that the name is representing the name of the instructors that are responsible for each of the courses that will be mentioned. So which means that the name of the faculty in charge will be listed under this. So we want to create data for this header. We want to create courses for this header. We want to create data for the code header. We want to create data for the duration header. We want to create data for the fee header. We want to also create data for the contact header. So this is what you would do. That is where, and we are going to be taking them row by row. That is the reason why I created what TR, and then I'll create what TD. That is, at this point, I'm creating data for those headers. So TD, now you follow that same order. The first one is name. So I will say what? Eguero Prosper. Eguero Prosper. So the name, you can decide to have it first name, middle name, last name. But I just want to go with what? Name. Now, if I go back to the front end, you see that what? I have created data for the name. Now, I'm here to create data for courses, for codes, duration, fee, and so I have to repeat it. In that same row, you are still inside this particular row. So you create another TD. This TD is to create data for the next header, which is the courses. Let's say this one is cyber security. Cyber security. So if you go back to the front end, you see that what cyber security also has a value. So I'll go back there, I'm still creating more TD because until that row has data for all the header, I will not stop. So the next one is the code. The code can be what? CY001. So let me create for order before we check the outputs. Now the next one is the duration. The duration of the program. The duration, let's say 6 months. 6 months. Now let's look at the next one, TD, which is for the fee. Yeah, the fee. Let's say the fee is 300K. Now, the next one, which is the last data we are creating for the first row, is contacts. So contact, you want to reach out to us to book for your training, just like this one you are watching. So you can contact us via WhatsApp, or you call me direct, +234 then 70665919. So let's assess what we have. So you can see that what we have just created one what record in the table. So we want to create other record. Let's say we have for other courses. This is what you are going to do as a developer. You have to save your time. While you are still inside the T body, you copy the whole of this TR. You copy it, and then make sure that you come immediately after the last one, you paste. You press enter, you paste. You press enter, you paste. You press enter, you paste. Just to have some records. So if I go back to the front end, you see that what I've been able to develop the table. So what I'm going to do is just to go in there and start modifying the content. So let me just modify one. Where did we started from? Okay, so here I will just modify this one. The person's name is not Eguero. So let's say here is Peter Ojo. The course is not cyber security. Let's say data science. All these courses, you can get their training from us. Then web developments. Sorry, what was here? Okay, the code. The code will be, let's say, DT or DS001. Then the training period still remain 6 months. Then let's say the cost of this is 500K. 500K. Now the number we maintain. So if I go back to the front end, then you see that what we have been able to modify it. So this is how you can actually create table. So what I'm going to do is to pause and give you 10 minutes to try to achieve something like this. So by the time I come back, we will now start looking at the CSS aspect, how we can style it and make it readable, presentable to users. That message.
Okay.
So start now. You share your screen. If there's any need to guide you, so I can. So share your screen. Stop sharing. Let's be fast about it.
Yeah, I was following up when you were doing it.
Okay.
So I was following up a little. So I've already done a little. But
Yes, but it seems you omitted the T head before the T. Okay, did you have it there? No, you don't have T head. The very first part, remember that I use what T head. Let me show you. Let me show you. Look up. Let me show you. The structure, the first part, look at it here. After table, I have what? T head before TR, before what? So the T head stop here before I open my T body. So the only thing is that all those code that you have written immediately after the table, you just, wrap them inside what? T head. I think every other part, you are correct. So
yeah, but
you got that option.
maybe when I see yours, I'll correct this the T head. So I don't really know how to place it right now. But when
No, where you are now, go back to the coding environment. Let me show you how you can fix it. Now press enter from that place you are, or you type the T head, type it. T head. Add H.
T H or
Add H first. Just type H. Let me see.
H.
Yes, select the last one. Out of the two options you are given, select the last one.
Okay, this.
Yes. Now, since you have already created it, you highlight only the closing part and cut. Then you go to where the table, where you have, in fact, I think everything you did here was even wrong. Now, what you do is this. Cut from the closing section of that T head. Highlight from that place to the end, then press Ctrl X. I wanted it to cut. Hope you know how to copy and paste, cut and paste.
Yeah.
Just cut only the closing part of that T head for me. Highlight only the closing T head and cut it.
Okay.
Yes, only that one. Then cut it. Ctrl X, cut it. Or you right click on cut. Now go down to, yes, good. Or you paste it. Now you see this TR that you created outside table. You need to, now from where you are now, hold on. From where you are now, go down. No. Come after the TH, after the T head. Come after the T head. The T head, not the TH. The T head, get the pronunciation, please. After it, that's before it, after it. After it, not there, the closing of the T head, after it.
Closing.
Yes, press enter there. Now type T body. Yes, T body. Now open it up. Press enter, open it up. Now all those TR after the closing of the table. No, after the closing of the table, the TR you have there, cut everything and bring them inside the T body. After the closing of the table, yes, from that place, highlight, go down, highlight it down. Let me see what you have there. Is that all?
Yes.
You have something else under?
No.
Oh yeah, cut that place you highlighted, cut. Then paste it inside the T body, just for you to understand it. Inside the T body, yes, paste it there. Now, good. So you are good now. So you can see the structure, the T head, TH.
Yeah.
Now, there is a mistake. We still have to correct something else. All those inside the T head, go to the beginning of the T head.
Yeah.
Yes, press enter there or click there. Beginning of the TH, not the TH. Please get the difference. Begin, come after it. Come after the opening. Press enter there. Type TR. Type TR. No, you have removed the angle bracket. You will have just pressed Ctrl Z to make your work faster, not to start bringing in. You just brought another header now. No, what you will have done is just to press Ctrl Z on your keyboard to return you back. If you can do that. I don't want you to open another T here. Good. Now, press enter there and press TR. Now, cut the closing parts. TR. Cut the closing of that TR and bring it before the closing of T head. Cut the closing of the TR that you just opened. Cut it.
The open. The
Cut the closing. Yes. Highlight only the closing. Cut it because cut. Now, good. Yes. Perfect. So please take note of the structure. That is the structure. Now let's go to the front end and check. Let us go to the front end and check our structure. All right. So let's continue. Stop sharing.
Is it okay I put the border?
Don't worry. That is what we want to take care of in CSS. Just stop sharing. Let me continue.
Okay.
All right. So now we have designed the structure of our table. We want to do some CSS styling on this table. As you all know, CSS is used to fine-tune the appearance of your design, and that is just to give us a better presentation and to make the content user-friendly. Now, you look at this table now, it's not professional. Table is not professional because it's not styled properly. Now, if you look at this, you see that these headers, they are not in the same alignment with the beginning of the record. Look at where this record starts. Look at where the header is. So all these things, we need to realign them, change the color, add the border line, and then if possible, we span and we'll span some area, or if possible, we make some text, vertical text. Like if you are creating a timetable, there's always a vertical text that separates the period before the break and the period after the break in the school system. Because a school can ask you to create a website and ask you to also publish their timetable on their internet. So you are not going to snap it, you code it in most cases. So let's look at the CSS. So like I said, all my CSS will be written in the styles, the head section, wrapping them in the style, which is internal CSS addition method. We learned all this. So the first element I want to speak to is the table itself. The table itself. Remember, I've advised us before now that when it comes to selecting and styling your HTML structure, you place a kind of order. The order is you look at the principal element, the child element. That is where I talk about modeling your HTML file. So from what we have done, body is the main container. Inside the body, we have tables. Now, because I may have other table, so I will just class this particular table. So I will just class it table 1. I will just class this table 1. Now, I will select the entire table with that class name in my CSS section. And because it is a class object or element, I have to start with dots, followed by that exact name, which is table 1. And then, of course, I have to declare my CSS code block, which is this coiling braces. Now, the first thing I want to add to this table is to activate the border lines. To activate the border line. Now, the border line can actually be added but with an attribute. So I can just come here and say border, and then I say 1, and that will add the border line. That is using the HTML version to achieve this. That is using HTML version to achieve this. Okay. Now, ordinarily, we are supposed to use CSS to achieve this, but I just want you to understand that method. Now, let me remove it and show us how we can do what this just did for us using CSS. So everything that I have to do with styling, I want to consider that in my CSS. Okay. So since I've already selected the table from my CSS, so the first thing I want to do is to activate those grid lines. And to activate those grid lines inside only the table, it will not affect some other content. Let me try it. Here we are going to use a CSS property called border. And then we will now define the thickness of the line. Let's say the thickness of the line will be 1 ps. Also specify the type of line. Let's say I want solid, that is smooth line. And then the color will be blue. Some of these things I have used them before. If I go back to the front end, you see that it only generated the table line, but the lines did not affect the TD, the TR, and the TH. So what I'm going to simply do is to create another selector where I'll be talking to all of them, and then use this one to talk to only the table, because there will be instances where I will be talking to only the table without talking to other elements within it. So what I'm going to do is this. So I will just come back here. I'll say, okay, this one is for all of them. Use comment. So this is, let's say, general table styling. So when I want to talk to table and every other thing at once, I will use this one. So I'm still selecting it with table 1. I'm still selecting with table 1, and then open it up. Now here, this is where I'm talking to only the table. Only the table element. So here I'm styling only the table. But where I am styling the table and every other element, I'll come here, I will copy that same border. So this same border, Control C, and then I'm pasting it here. Temporarily, I'll turn off this one because that is what we're doing here. So if I go back to check, I still have it. Now, I want that line, the border line, to affect the table, the TD, the TR. In fact, once you apply TH, TD, it will automatically affect what? The TR, because TR is a collection of what? TD. So I will just come here and make it a kind of combination of selection. So I will just add a comma and say, okay, include TD. If I go back to the front here, you see that what all the TD are affected. But because I've not applied T head, remember that this one is for T head. So I'm leaving the format like this. I don't want this to be affected, but if I want to be affected, what I'm going to do, I'll also put a comma and say, okay, include TH. Let me see whether TH will give me access to it. Perfect. Okay, so I don't have to do T head because inside the T head is just a section. So once I can talk to what I have in that section, I am good. Now, there is a challenge that we have here. The challenge is that our table is expected to have just one line, but it's having what? Double what? Borderline, which makes it look very amateur. So what do? I will collapse. I will collapse. So you write table with what? Collapse border. Table with what? Collapse border. So let me use comment here. Table with collapse borders. So what's this particular property? There's a CSS property called what? Collapse. All right. Now, what it does is to delete one of the borderline and retain only one. Now remember that our objective is to make it a user friendly. Our objective is to make it a user friendly. So for that reason, we want to remove one of the line. So what I will do is that is to be spoken to only the table, not all of them. That is why we have the selection. So I'll come here, I will say what? Border collapse. I will say what? Border collapse. Border collapse. I will say what? Collapse. So if I go back to the front end, you see that what? All the double border lines has disappeared. One. Hope you are getting me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you still following?
Yes.
Okay. So please, like I said, if you have any question, just quickly use the raise up hand tab by me. So you can see that our table is now neater. You can see the way everything is catching. The lines are no longer distracting. Now, the next thing is for us to work on the width of the table. Supposing this table is meant to take the full width of the page. So how do we go about this? So that will take us to, I hope you are taking the heading the way I'm using comment to explain that. Now, as you are writing in your notes, you take this word heading, you write this as an example use. Now, the next one is how to adjust table width. How to adjust table width. So how do we adjust the width? Like I just told you that we want the width to either be smaller than this or to fill the entire page. So you are going to use a property called what? Width. Now the question is that, are you going to talk to all of them or just you just have to talk to the table? So you add that in your selection where you are speaking to only the table. So I will just simply say what? Width. And then since I want it to fill the entire browser, I will just put what? 100%. I'll just type 100%. 100%. And then by the time you check the front end, you see that what? The table has stretched. Now it's covering the entire page. Okay. Now, as we stretch the table, we have other challenges that have come up. As you can see, it is now very obvious that the headers are not aligning with their contents. So they are totally off from their content. So what I am going to do here is to just give me all right. Sorry, I need to attend to something briefly. So now the next challenge is how do we align our table data? So I'm going to start with aligning all these headers. That's the first thing I want to do. How do we align the table data? So that is using comments. I hope you are documenting all this in your notes. So this very one, you write this as an example that we use. Now here, table data alignment. So we have CSS property, which is used to align the data. And the question is that, is it all the data you want to align? If it is all the data you want to align, then you add this property in that what general selector. But if it is only this header, we know the tag that is responsible for this. If you check our code structure, let me take you back to the HTML. What are not aligned are all this information. And we know that they are wrapped in what? The TH. Otherwise, you come and class this T out that is holding them and then talk to it directly. Okay, so I will just use this parent to what? To reference them. So what I'm going to do is this. I will just say what? I'm going to create another selector entirely. Another selector because I'm talking to only one, not even the table. I'm talking to an element in the table. So I will just say styling the T head content, which are in what? TH. All right. So now what I'm going to do is to use the parent element. The parent element is the TH. So sorry, the T head. So I'll say what? T head, then that is what? Inside T head, you space T head, then TH. So which means that you are saying that you are talking to the TH that is inside what? The T head. So if there is any other TH that is not inside the TH, will not be spoken to. That is what you are saying. So I'll use the CSS property called what? Test alignment. And then I'll say what? To the left. So if we check, we see we have been able to what? To control that. Do you understand it?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'll give you another 5 minutes to try and do some styling on this, and then you also share your screen. So let's see how you can bring up your table design to where I am now, and then I proceed quickly. Just 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
So I am already here. Already put the border, the two-piece color, the solid and red, then the width 100%. So where I am, I wanted to collapse the borderline. It's showing 2-2.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, so I'm trying to collapse that. And this is one is even not. You can see another problem I'm having. The name is
For me to solve this problem, let me look at your code, your CSS code. Let me start from there.
okay.
Now you can see what you selected here. When we're defining the table widths, I did not use the general selector. I used what? Just table. That is why I created two selector. Let me quickly flash you just so you to see what I'm saying. Just look up for a second. Let me show you here to make it faster for us. Look at this here. I created this selector. This is where I'll be talking to only the table. This is where I'm talking to all. Now, that width that you added here now, this is where you are supposed to add the width. So go and create another selector just for the table, then add that width. You see that everything will balance. Did you understand that?
Okay, so all right.
Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and solve it.
I should create only table.
Dot. Did you class your table?
Yes.
So put dots to class your table. Okay. Open your So you remove that width, cut the width you have already assigned to the general selector and take it to only that table.
Like this, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, go to the front end now. Let's check.
Yes.
Good. Now go and add that border collapse. That border collapse, you are also adding it to only table. You are adding it to only table. Good. That is where you are to add the border collapse. Border collapse.
Is it together?
Type it full. Then you put hyphen. Hyphen collapse. Border collapse.
Like this?
Hyphen in between. Hyphen. No, that is underscore. Hyphen. Type collapse. Once you start with the first letter to bring it, good. Click on it. Then you say collapse. 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 Now check. Go back to the front end and check.
Yes, perfect.
Good. Now the alignment of the T head. Quickly solve that. Let's move on.
Okay. How am I going to do that?
Go back to your code. Go back to your code. The alignment of the headers. We want it to align with the content. So another selector, T head. Another selector, not inside any of this. Another selector. Yes. Another selector.
Aside this tag.
Yes. You have not. Go down, right T head. T head. Oh, you don't have it. You have it now.
T body. Yeah. Look at
It's
the
not
T
T
head.
body. We are talking about T head. T head.
Yes. Look at it.
Go and call the selector in your CSS, not in HTML. What is happening? Go to the CSS now. Let's move on. Create another selector for it, not inside any of these two. I believe you understand the language selector. Good.
Yes.
T head, not TH. Good. The space, TH, space, TH. Then you open your CSS code block. Open the bracket, the curly brackets. So you now say test align, test align, test align, test align. Then left, choose left. Let's check now. So perfect. Now, you take the rest as an assignment. Let me continue. So stop sharing. Stop sharing. Let me continue. All right. So gradually our table is becoming user friendly. Now, we'll still have a couple of things to achieve here. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want this particular head to have a different background color from other rows. This particular row that is holding all my headers, I want to give the background color. So that is a way of me designing it. Now, it's now left for me to identify which of the elements is responsible for this particular section. So let's go back to our CSS. We have already created the selector that is governing the whole of that, which is T head. So this is where I have to add the command or the property that will color the entire background of that same section. So I will just say background color here. Background color here. I will just use something very light. So let's say, okay, let me go with this. And then by the time I check, you see that I've been able to change the color of that header. Now, but now that we have upgraded the background to blue, there is need for us to also look at how visible the contents. Now you can see that the right
Yes.
are no longer that sharp. So I need to reverse them to white. So I'm still within
Color.
that selector because the content I'm talking to are still within it. So I will just say color. Color. I'll say what? White. I'll say white. Color white. And then go back there, you see that we have a very good presentation. All right. Now, for any reason, I want to increase the size. I want to increase the size because we're allowed to do that. Let's say font size. And then I will just use an average font size for mobile view, which is 18 PS. And then, okay, so I'm good with it. So for any reason, I want those headers to be slanted. So what I will simply do is to also come here and see font style. So I'm just using it to expose you to the CSS property font style. Then I'll simply do italic. Then if you check, you see that you have slanted this particular header. Now, I hope you are following. I hope you hope you are getting it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now the next thing I want to achieve is that I want to add some space between this content. Now, there was something we discussed some time ago, which is called padding and margin. You can still remember where I said where you have elements in box like we have in our table. Let's say this is two different elements. The space between them from the outside is called margin. While the space between the content, what you have inside, just like the way we have cybersecurity here now. You can see the way the cybersecurity is almost touching the line. So there is no looking room. There is no space. They are too tight. They are too close to the to the borderline. So I want some allowance. That is padding. And why I'm doing this is to make the table user friendly. I want it to give the user very good experience. I want to give the users good experience. Okay, so I don't want to make things difficult for them. So I'll delete this and then let's go and communicate that. So I'll also use a comment to explain what I want to do. So I hope you are also documenting. So table with padding space. Table with padding space. Table with padding space. Table with padding space. All right. So now I've explained what padding is. Padding is the internal space between the content in a box and the border around it. So which of the elements do you think we have to talk to? If I talk to only the table, will that affect it, or I have to call the TH or the TD? Now let's go to where we are speaking to only the table and add it and see if we are going to get the result. So I'll just say what? Padding. So let's say I want a general padding. I want all of them to generate what? 10 PS padding space. So I'll say PS, 10 PS. So if I go back to the front end, did anything happen? No, because I did not notice any difference. Now let's take this from here. Okay, let's cut it from here and add it to where we are talking to all of them and see if it's going to work. If it doesn't work, it means we will not call the TR or the TG. We will not talk to the TG alone. So let me put it here and see the appearance. So you can see that it works here, where we are talking to all the elements. Hope you notice the impact of the padding.
Yes.
Okay. Now you can see that the content of the book, they are now better what presented. You can see that the data science have space around it that can help someone to narrow to it, to focus on it. Okay. So now that is the average padding. So the next thing I want to teach us is, supposing on this particular table, we want an over effect. I know I've spoken about over effect before. Over effect is extra appearance that you program as a developer that we display when the user perform an action. And the action is when they come on this. For example, you can see the way this one is focused. Everybody know that, oh, these are the header. Now, I want to also help the users in a way that as soon as they hover on any of these, let's say they want to focus on server security. So once they touch this, the whole of that row will change to different background, and then the write-up will also change to different color, so that the person would focus on only that particular section. So that will take us to another task, which is table row with over effects. All right. So like I said, an over effect is additional appearance that you program on an element that can only be triggered when the user work the element. So the question is, that over effect, we want it to affect only the rows. So which means that we are not going to go with any of these selectors. Because if I add it here, it means that it will affect both the table, the TD, and the TD.
Yes.
So, and I want to talk to only the TR, which we have not. Another selector entirely. So now, since it's all the rows, now this is one thing we should observe so that it doesn't touch this. I don't want that over effect to affect this head. Why? Because that heading has already gotten its own focus. So I just want the focus to be on this other one. And you know that all these ones are in the T body. So what I'm going to do, because if I say TR, it will affect all of them. What I'll say TR, T body TR, which means that what? Locate only the TR inside T body. So let's pick that in programming. So I'll adding over first. So only TR A T body. Only the TR body. So now I will select T body. Space, I'll say what TR. All right. Now because I am adding over effect, there is a syntax. The syntax is you put colon and then you say what over. then you open the what? The curling bracket. So once you have opened the curling bracket, so the next thing we are going to do is to define that appearance. And when you are defining that appearance, like I've advised you before, you take note of the actual appearance. Once they get to this website page, the background of these rows will remain white. Now, it means that I cannot see my hover effect white again. Otherwise, there won't be any what difference. So what I'm going to do is to say, okay, since the background color is white, the background color on hover, the background color on hover is maybe something like maybe brown. Let me use something like this, or let me make it black. Let me make it black so that it can be obvious. So if I go back to the page now, you see that once you hover on any of these row, you can see that it's not affecting this because we have already cut this row off by saying T body TR. Now, but I'm having a challenge. When I am on hover, I'm not seeing the right, which means that I need to also add over what? Text color. So I'll say what? Color white. On hover, when the background switch to black, then the text will what? White. So you can see it. I can okay, they should be bolder. So I can also add I can say font weight. Font weight. I will say what? They should be bolder. Then if I check, you see that what? Good. So I have a very good focus. And even so, it should be slanted. Depending on you, I can say they should be slanted, which means I would add what? Font style. Font style, I will say italic. So let's go back and check. On hover, you get this effect. Everything is still going well. Hello?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to turn off some border lines, which means that I don't want, like here now, I have the top border line, I have the bottom border line, I have the top border line, I have the bottom. I just want to make it look more organized in a way that they will not see this vertical line. I just want only the horizontal line so that somebody will not know that I actually use tape. They'll be thinking I used another more advanced element to build this. So, which means that we are going to, first of all, go to where we said border, remember here, and turn off this one. After you have turned it off, you will now say, sometimes it can even be like this. The good one, somebody can say, my table will just appear like this, very neat. No border line that will distract probably the user. But now, I want only the bottom border line to come. Now, border line can be assigned to four sides. We have top border line, bottom, left, sorry, and what? Right. So what I'm going to do here is to call that border line, but I will not say borders. I will say what? Border, bottom. Border what? Bottom. In other words, we need only the bottom line. You don't need, but when you call border, it means that you need all the what? Side border line. So I will now follow the same thing. 1 PS, then solid, and then you now put what? The color. So the color I want it to be blue so that it will blend with other things. So if I go back there, see what I have now. Perfect. So if I also want only the vertical line without the horizontal line, what I'm going to do is instead of saying border bottom, I'll say what? Border left. Border left. So if I change this to border what? Left. So border left, come back here, you have just the what? The vertical what? Line. You can say border right. So that's of techniques you can use to personalize or to the border line to affect on the specific section. All right, so we just have few things to round up on the table. So now what I'm doing since is to beautify the table and its content. So the next thing I want to teach you is let's assume that this particular duration, we want it to be vertical tests here, not just vertical tests. It will force to break the whole of this column will be collapse. Then the duration will now be vertically what placed in that particular space. So that will take us to learning some table what attributes. What I'm going to do is to bring back uh, the normal border. That is the reason why you see me not delete it. Instead, I comment. So I'm bringing back this one. I'm bringing back this one. Okay, so I have it like this. So I want to break here. Now, remember that these are in T head. So if you want that kind of design, it means that what you are going to break. Okay, we have this here. Okay, let's see how the structure my kind of so except what I'm going to do, which will affect some of the styling already assigned. So I can as well do it like this. So just in case it not work like this, so what you will do, you will remove this from here. You will not have this, TH. So you just have what? Just it. Once you remove the T head or T head, you remove this. But now let's continue and see if it doesn't work, how we pass back to that. So like I said, what I want you to have to create vertical tests within Teams. Because if you have to create school timetable, there will be break. That break will be vertical. And other periods will come before it and after it. So I'm targeting duration. I want to break for duration. Or let me break for code. 2, 1, 2. So I can break from here or let me use 2. Now, the first thing you are going to do, you go and class that particular code because we are going to speak to it separately. Class the TH that's generating that particular header you want to. I'll just say what TH, for example. Now I will not add what we call the row span. These are attributes, row span. Row span is what we know as merge. So I want to merge all these first, particularly. We have call span and row span. One merges horizontally, other one merges what? Vertically. So if I want what we want to merge, I want to merge vertically, that is row across row, not across column. So what I'm going to do is that I will come in here with another attribute, paste, and then I will say what? Span. Row span. Now, from here, I'll say, okay, how many rows do I want to span across? I'll come here and count the total rows I have. Starting from here, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm spanning across 6 good rows. So I'll put what? 6 here. So if I go back now, check what I have. So this is exactly what I was saying. You can see that I did not work because of the structure. Because of the structure. So what I'm going to do, let me quickly see how I can correct that. So let me remove the T head. Just temporarily first. So the design will change. So what we have now is what here. Let me work this out. I want to see how I can still achieve this with the row span 6. It will be that we have more than that. Let me put 5 and see. Rows. Yes, what we are going to do, what we are going to do, because structure the T body with an issue, let's all be this way. Let's remove E head just to explain what you want to do. And also remove what? The T body, because they are not in the same section. That is what's good. Just temporary effect. Now you can see that as soon as I remove it, you can see that it has worked. So now I'll go back there and take it back to 6 because I noticed that it left 1. Okay, so yeah. So I was adding it inside an attribute. So I'll make this 6. So if I go back there, you see that what? We have converted the whole of this, So we have collapsed the whole of that place. So what we want to learn actually is to make it that test. So to make it vertical text, that is going to be done with CSS. That is the reason why I class it. So I cannot see why all of them will be vertical. So I will just call this particular TH, which is in charge of the write-up in my CSS. I'll just come here. I'll say what? .th, because I class it what? TH. And then I'll say the first thing I'm going to do is to make it vertical. All right. So to make it vertical, we use a CSS property called writing mode. Writing mode. And then you say, okay, writing mode can be vertical right or vertical left. So I'll choose all these. These are different styles. So let me choose one of these and then go back. You can see that you have make it what? Vertical. But this vertical is down. I want to see or that's what to face up. So what I'm going to do is to add another property called what? Transform. Transform, then rotates. Transform, rotate. So rotate that text at an angle of 180 or 90. Let me try 180 degree. So I'll say 180 DEG. 180 DEG. So if I go back there, perfect. So I've achieved it. Now I want to increase it because I want it to appear very big. So I'll say, okay, font size. Let me make like 30 ES. So if I check good, now it's already at the center. If it's not at the center, you say what? Test align. And then it will work off. Test align, then it will align it. So that is how you can a vertical section. Do you have any question before I show you the last thing you can do with table and then we end the class?
No.
Okay, so now I'm going to quickly create another table. Let's assume that you want to develop your gallery page. Your gallery page should comprise of different pictures of what you have done, and you want to display them in an array that is in a particular arrangement. You want to create like 3-4 images, and you want them to be arranged in that table format. So just for you to know that table can be used to create what? Images array. So let me create another table. I don't want to tamper with that one. We just come here and say another table. Thank God that we class the other table. So I can as well class this one. And class this one, I'll say table 2. I can say table 2. Now, what I'm going to do, you must have added all the picture to your image folder, so which we have now. So I will say, there's no point of all those T body, T head. Just go straight to TR. In one row, you want to have like 3 pictures. So you use the TD, and then you next image tag inside the TD, and then you reference the image from the image folder. So if I select this, so let me copy this, Control C, paste it here. Just want to give you 3 images sample in a single row. So if I go back there, you can see that what is happening here is that the placing the 3 images here, the space is not enough. So by the time we give our table width now, let's say table width. Let's say where is guys table 1, table 2. So let me also, in fact, like I told us the other time, you can add your CSS in between. So let me open another style tag here quickly. So I'll just say dot table table 2, and then I will say width 100%. 100%. So let's go back to the front end. So I have this. So now I'm looking at why. Let me reduce, the image size. So what I'm going to do, I'll say the images, that's the images inside the table 2. So how do I reference that? I'll say what dot table 2 space img. I don't want to go and start classing the images. So I will just use the appearance to select them. So I will say reduce their widths. I want 3 of them to be on the same line. Reduce their width to 300 ps. If I go back there now, we should be able to see what 3 of them in. So there is another conflicting tag or style, rather maybe from what we have done before. But let me see what is happening here. So all these are in this, or maybe that 300 is still too weak. Let me put 200 s. So there's still a conflict. One of the table, I think the best way is one of the table class name that we have used is conflicting with this. So what I'm going to do is to take, I'll just create a simple file just to round up the class, just for you to understand how to go about this. Come in. So let me take the whole of this table off from here, cut it, just for you to see what I'm saying. So let me create another file as a table 2.html. Base my HTML default file and then paste it here. So let's check. Let me view it now. Let me check the front, and then let's make it okay. So let me just add width. Let's say the table width should be 100%. 100%. So I think we are still having issue. But let's debug it as part of programming. Now the images coming. IMG width. Yeah, so we are having let me check something. Let me check. The issue is not even from there, what I'm seeing. So we have this. Let's say try to find out whether it's from the app, because I don't think we're doing anything wrong. So IMG, I want to call another image to okay, so let me call another image. Let me copy this and see what I'm going to get. Okay, so we have the 3 of them on the same line. We have the 3 of them on the same line. Now, the idea is that we want another image row. Now, what I'm only trying to explain here is that you can, where you want to create or publish set of images in the proper structure, you can wrap them with table. So what I'm going to do, I want another row. So I will just copy this row, the whole of this, while you are still inside the table. So that's going to give us what? Another row. Then I can copy again. I will just go there and start changing. So you can arrange images in a web page using table. Any question? Any question?
No. No.
All right. So that is all about table. We have really done justice to table. So your assignment is to replicate exactly what I've done, the beginning to the end. And then you can search for some other formats, maybe you can search on Google, table content, and then try to copy them using code. All right, so we draw the curtain here. So our next class will be HTML form design. That once we are done with that, then it is assumed that we have much knowledge of HTML tag and properties, CSS properties, so we can now start designing the website. So designing the website is going to be very fast because we have knowledge of most of the building blocks we are going to use. So that will not waste any time. It's going to be very fast. Okay, so if you don't have questions, thank you for joining. Please keep recommending DigitalZ up to your friends. We appreciate that. Send the link to them. We need to post our adverts and status. God bless you, sir. See you in the evening data analytics session.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Have a nice day.